I just want to develop very briefly this metaphor that I introduced yesterday, which is not mine, I should be clear, about learning and teaching as a complex system and what the implications are. And Nancy said just now that her mind boggles about how we could actually harness this powerful idea of the crowds being wise. Because, you know, when you think about it, there are plenty of examples of systems that are complex, that achieve greatness, and the evolution of the human race is a good example. But for every example like that, we have, you know, the evolution of mosquitoes, and that's a very nice and successful model of evolution if you're a mosquito, but not so nice if you're a human being. And what's the difference? I mean, what can you do to influence it? By definition, a complex system, the individual elements, which in this case are teachers and learners and parents and employers, by definition, the individual can't have much agency, can't really change the crowd. But the sum total is more than the sum of the parts, and change happens. The question is, how do we maximize the probability that the change that actually happens is the change that we would like to happen? And I think there are three things that we can do, and I don't suggest for a minute that they're exhaustive. It's not an exhaustive list, but I just want to put forward three things. The first is, if you want people to go in the right way, you have to shine lights to help them, to guide them. And the lights have to be attractive. They have to light up things that people would like to get close to and to become involved with. And that's why in many countries, including my own, there have been initiatives, very seriously funded initiatives, to try to build the best possible cases, best possible scenarios. So people often say to me, okay, you're the director of the technology enhanced learning phase, but anybody can build wonderful technologies and wonderful pedagogies if you have all that money. Of course you're going to have success, of course the students are going to do great things, of course the schools are going to be transformed, but back here in the real world it's not going to help. Well, I understand where that objection comes from, and there's a lot of truth in that objection. But on the other hand, people need to see what is possible before they can map out a position for themselves and take up what works for them in reality. So we are trying to build, as I say, alongside lots of other countries, we are trying to build research beacons to shine light about what is possible, so that people in more down-to-earth situations can say, I would like to be part of that and take one step in that direction. So shining lights is one thing that we can do to preserve good evolutionary change rather than mosquitoes. The second thing is, I thought it was, I hope Nancy won't mind me saying, I want to borrow her work on the idea of knowledge building. The trouble with research projects is that there are thousands and thousands taking place at any one time, and except for the mandatory two-page review of the literature, which you have to have in order to get published in a journal, nobody takes the slightest bit of interest in anybody else's research. I'm exaggerating the case, but it's not quite true, but there is truth in what I say, believe me. In my own country, there's a not invented here mentality. We didn't have that idea, so it's not a good idea, or we're going to reinvent it so that it has our university's imprint on it. I think that the web is a way, it can transform that situation, just like in the knowledge forum. It transforms a situation that people can share at a very deep level, not just what they think they're doing, but really what they're doing, so that it's up for inspection and knowledge can grow. I won't labour that point because I'm going to run out of time. And the third thing that we can do to foster the kind of change that we would like is to make sure that we're not offering change to somebody else. So that what we go to terribly difficult and time-consuming lengths in the teaching and learning research program to make sure that from the first day of the research project, the people who are going to be potential users of anything we build are involved in the design of those systems. And I think we're thankfully coming to the end of the time when it was acceptable for the group of researchers who may span a huge number of disciplines, psychology, sociology, computer science, education, when they could work for 2 years and then present their work to the users. Here's a prototype and we'd like you to comment on the user interface. I think those days are gone. I hope they're gone. They are in the process of going. And involving the potential users, who in this case are not just users, they're teachers, learners and their parents, involving them from the first day of the project, I think is another way that we can foster the kind of change that we all want. Thank you.